Are you a female entrepreneur who feels stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure how to move forward? The Life Coaching for Business Builders program helps you harness your inner power, build your authentic platform, and chart a clear path to business success. You don't have to do this alone. Together, we'll create strategies, structure, and accountability to help you boss up in life and business. It's time to claim your power and make your business dreams a reality. Welcome to Boss Business Strategies, where visibility meets strategy and purpose becomes the platform. I am your host, Dr. Marcea Whitaker, and this is the premier platform for entrepreneurs, for executives, for visionaries, and for leaders who are ready to elevate their influence and expand their impact, as well as to scale their businesses to $1 million and beyond. And I'm bringing you front row and center to the blueprint behind the brands. And as a life and business coach, I help female entrepreneurs who are navigating that business building process to harness the power of their story, to build an authentic platform, and then to chart a clear pathway to business success. And it's all about the power, it's all about the platform, and it's always all about, the pathway to get there. And so today's guest has done all of that. And she is a global force. She's a pastor. She's an author. She's a philanthropist. She's a mentor. She's a businesswoman. She's a ministry development consultant whose voice has impacted audiences across the United States, Africa, Europe, Canada, and the Caribbean, probably some others that I don't know about. But she's known affectionately as Dr. Jazz and the Daughter of Thunder. And she leads with wisdom, strength, compassion, and conviction. And she's the lead pastor of Victory Grace Center Church and the president of Dr. Jazz's Ministries and the S.H.I.N.E CDC, which is an organization dedicated to mentoring young girls and boys throughout the DMV. Now, she has shared stages with some amazing influential leaders, including the Women Thou Art Loose conference and MegaFest platforms. And she continues to inspire through books, through leadership, and humanitarian work. So welcome, Dr. Jazz, to the platform. How are you?
Wonderful. It's a victory day.
It is certainly a victory day. And as we're sitting here, I remember meeting you not too long ago. We
Mhm.
were at the Gaylord in National Harbor, and we were at the Women's History event.
Yes.
And one of my colleagues and friend, she's a Black Door Society sister, she recognized you as I think we were taking pictures or something like that. And what she recognized you from was the Woman Thou Art Loose conferences that was, back in the 90s through
Yeah.
the 2000s, right?
Yeah.
With Bishop T.D. Jakes. And as once she said that, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, that was a movement. That was a major a movement in our church life, but in our development life. What was that like for you? What do you think about Women Thou Art Loose?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me, and I'm glad for the connection. And Woman That Loose was indeed a movement. Everything happened for a season, a reason, for a time. And I think I might have been the last preacher on the tail end. Woman That Loose was for 30 years. 30 years,
30 years.
yeah, in the Philip Arena in Atlanta or the American Airline Arena in Dallas. So I was speaker number 30, and after that, Bishop Jake said that was enough. So I was so honored to be able to be on that platform to just impact and encourage women who needed to be, reminded that Jesus came to free them from any kind of thing. So the experience was phenomenal. It put me on the global stage. Nobody knew who I was. And I tell people, I don't even know how I got there because the invitation came from me being in a hallway. Bishop Jakes was meeting with these 70 or 80 pastors, and he invited them, and the email said dress casually. So I thought casual was like something I have on. Since I went in that room, these pastors had robes, they had clergy color, they had 25 crosses around their necks. And so I was like, okay. So I felt underdressed. So I left the room and I called my son and I said, come get me. And while I'm in the hallway waiting for my son to come get me, Bishop needed to go to the restroom. And the only restroom was outside the room that the other pastors were in. And the crazy thing is, I just happened to be standing by the men's bathroom.
Oh my
And on his
God.
way in, I greeted him and he said, you Dr. Jazz, right? I said, yes. He said, if I invite you, would you come? And the rest is
History.
history.
Look, look, you done preached a whole message right there, right? You done preached a whole message. You showed up.
Yeah,
There was some negativity because
yeah,
you thought you were underdressed.
yeah,
That then pushed you out into the hallway,
yep,
right in the path
yep,
of the inviter.
right.
And then he simply says, will you come? If I
Yeah,
invite you, will you come?
yeah. And then when I did Woman That Loose, he said, you got to do MegaFest. I did MegaFest. He said, you got to do Woman That Loose. So I had 3 years straight on those platforms. And so that put me in the global, and that's where the global doors started opening. Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Paris, all over, the world, because it was 200 and something. It was translated in 200 and something countries. So I tell people there's a difference between a pulpit and a platform. That
Yes.
Woman That Loose was a
A
platform that
platform.
propelled you. Yeah.
Yes, yes, I love that. Now, and the word platform is very near and dear to who I am and what I do. I help women change their pain into a platform,
Mm, mm.
okay, that then pays them back,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And when we talk about, and I want to shift a little bit to the business side of the house, if I can,
Yeah.
um, we talk about the Woman Thou Art Loosed movement. There was the conference, there
Yeah.
was the book,
Yeah.
there was a soundtrack, there
Yep.
probably was a movie,
It
there
was.
there was some workbooks, there was all the things, right? And all of that was a business, right? It's a masterclass in branding.
Yeah.
So I want to know from you, what did you learn from being on that stage and watching, being a part of that process?
Yeah, it was again behind the stage because the message we hear the message, but the machine. Bishop Jakes always said this thing. He said most people have a good message, they just don't have the machine to make and manage and manifest the message. And the crazy thing is this. It's the same thing every year. It's Woman That Loose. There's nothing new. It's just Woman That Loose. We think we have to always invent something new, come up with a new thing. 30 years is the same statement. It's not even Woman That Loose chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just Woman Thou Art Loose. And it's birthed from a place where Bishop talks about he know that women needed to be loose. So I love the fact from a marketing business that he has a target audience. The target audience was women who feel like they are not free, they haven't been liberated, or anything like that. He had a strong target audience. And I tell people if you're going to succeed, listen, your name is not Jesus, so you can't save everybody. But you have a particular audience. Like for me, I have a particular group of women that I know that I am anointed to reach, I'm anointed to touch. I'm not trying to save everybody, empower everybody. I have an audience that I'm assigned to. So I think that was the brilliancy of it. And here's the last thing, when it's run its course, he shut it down. When
Mm,
it's run its course, he shut it down. Now, his daughter has evolved.
yeah.
So, of course, when he finished Woman That Loose, he sent the women who had Woman That Loose to
Oh,
evolve, right?
wow.
But evolve is a it's woman that loose on steroids. You know what I'm saying, like that. It is these women who are now evolving and things. So I love the whole fact that he has a legacy, and now he's not on the stage. But don't get it twisted, he's behind the stage.
Understand,
He's
yeah.
yeah, he's part of
Mm,
evolve as much as he is woman that loose. He's just not on the stage
mm, on
anymore.
the stage. And you said some more powerful things. One is that when it was done, to let it go. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, how do you know that it's run its course? But then what you said is that he brought his daughter onto the platform. And for those that know her, her medical situation right now, we send prayers and love
Absolutely.
her way for healing.
Yes.
But then we were on a runway. He was driving.
Yeah.
He allowed her to pull up in front, and now he's driving the ship from the rear.
Yeah, the best way I tell people to think about it for real is the book of Esther. There is no mention of God in the book. Esther is on the star. She's on the stage. She's the star.
Yeah.
There's no mention of God, but God is the producer and the director.
Yeah.
And Bishop said you have to know when it's time to pass the mic. Don't
Mhm.
drop the mic. Because if you remember the last one that loose, he brought Sarah up and he passed her the
Yes.
mic. And
Yeah.
his book was "Don't Drop the Mic."
Don't drop the mic.
He passed the mic and now he moved behind the scene. And he's like that matrix guy. He's not on the stage. And too many times, even at business owners, some of us, we start business, but we don't need to be the face of the business.
Mm-hmm.
We don't
Mm-hmm.
mean to be in front of the business because we may not have the look, the personality, the temperament. You and I in Maryland, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people are running for Congress, and there's
Mhm.
all these flyers all over. And I noticed something, sis. This is crazy. All the women who have these things that they're sticking on the side of the road that's annoying all of us, all the women candidates have their face on those posters. Two men who are running, it's just their name. And I had a minute to be in one of the room with one of the brothers who is running, and I said, how come your picture is not on that thing that we have all over the streets inside? He said, because people will make judgment based on how you look on that picture.
Absolutely.
But you don't know based on their name if they're black or white, if they, short or tall. It's just the name. And so sometimes you just have to let somebody else be the face, but you still carry the name. She still
I love
carry Bishop T.D. Jake's name.
I love it. I love it. And that is what happens and I'm going to switch over to visibility and media and all that kind of stuff. That's what happens when you go on Good Morning America. That's when you go on the Today Show. You are now going onto someone else's platform and allow them to pump you up, if you will, to elevate you, to say how great you are, as opposed to you spending every breath saying how great you are.
Right, right.
Because it does matter. It does matter. And that's a whole nother branding, about the signage and everything with the political, very important. I wanted to know, one of your books, okay, it's called Dancing with Broken Bones, Founding Me from Pieces to Peace.
Yeah.
And as we're talking about the woman thou loosed, we know that it's about healing. That is about restoration. And I am fully intrigued in knowing your story and how those two entities collide.
Yeah, and I actually have a third book which is called Bold Moves. So when you think of my book, it's so crazy they've evolved. So my first book, which is Dancing with Broken Bones, is the fact that I had gone through a public, terrible, embarrassing divorce. My
Mm,
mom died when I was 14. I tell the story that I went to find out who my dad was, and this man told me he was not my dad, and later on I found out he was my dad. So there was all these brokenness in my life. It's taken from Psalms 51 where David says, allow me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones you have broken may dance again. And so many of us, if we have a broken bone, they say don't dance until the bone has been healed. And I felt like early in my life, God was calling me to dance with the brokenness. Don't
Mhm.
wait till the doctor take the cast off or you're not on crutches anymore. But in the midst of it, you still have your dance. And I'm from Trinidad, and one thing we do is we dance. I tell people you can always tell if I'm off when I stop dancing. If I was born with happy feet. I can't sing a lick, but I was born with happy feet. So the dancing with broken bones, focusing on all the brokenness in my life. But I don't play the victim card. And so when I turned 50, the Lord started dealing with me with this whole finally me. Because again, being on that platform with Bishop Jakes, with all these different speakers, honey, you better know who you are. Okay, you got to know who you are, because if not, you will try to imitate everybody else. And on that stage, if you're not authentic, it will eat you up. You catch what I'm saying? So the finally me coming to grip with who I am. And I went through an entire year journey. It's one of my mentorship program, Finally Me For Real, where I take people through this whole thing with Esther. You know it, Esther went through a whole year before
Yeah,
she becomes
separation.
queen. And the first 6 months she's taken off. So she's taken off everything that society might have said she should be, everything her mama, her daddy. But then the next 6 months she's putting on. And that's why when she becomes queen, she's queen in public because she became queen in private. I don't know why anybody is surprised that the girl is queen. She did the work in private. So my whole finally me was this journey of, listen, if I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose being me. And now, you know, if you know anything about Woman That Lose, the woman who held the record as the undisputed heavyweight champion of Woman That Lose was Juanita Bynum. So when I
Yes.
first came on the scene and gonna preach for Bishop Jakes, they wanted to brand me like Dr. Bynum, the long skirt, the all white. I was like, I'm gonna trip over the long skirt. I don't have no sheets in my house like that. You know what I'm saying? Nothing like nothing. For real, they wanted to brand me, and they mean well, but she was the standard. And I said, listen, I'm Dr. Jazz, so if you've seen me preach, I take my heels off. I may run around the stage. I'm going to do some dancing and stuff. And I remember after preaching at the first Woman That Loose, Bishop Jake said to me, he said, okay, because at that time, a lot of people had left with Dr. Bynum. He was assuming that they would come back when I got on the platform, but they never did because that was not my audience, but
Right.
their children did. You
Mm.
see what I'm saying? So my finally me for real is be authentically who you are. And then my last book is Bold Moves. If you want to go where you've never gone before, do what you've never done before, see what you've never seen before, have what you never had before, you're gonna have to bust a move.
Right. Look, and so I even titled this interview Bold Moves with Dr. Jazz. So I want to know, what were some of those bold moves that you had to make?
Yeah, well, listen, I think the first bold move was coming to America. You know, I'm from Trinidad,
Mhm.
and every year in my village, the people in my village determine which one of these young people will go to America, you know. And so my sister's desire was to get all of her kids. My sister raised me to America, and then it was her turn to get me. So I went to the embassy to get a visa, and I tell the story, I was denied 7 times. I've got the passport to prove it. I mean,
Yeah.
no, yeah, because I'm from this little village called Laventille, and the only thing that came out of Laventille, they said, was drug dealers, drug pushers, prostitute, and hookers. The moment that man from the American embassy heard I was from Laventille, I can't even open my mouth. No. The next week, no. So 7 times he denied me. But my church had this ministry called Mountain Movers. three old women, girl, they knew how to move mountains. And one day they saw me and they said, Jasmine, why you look so sad? I said, I'm trying to go to America. I can't get a visa. And so they said, oh, we're going to have to move that mountain. Now, I didn't know what that mean. That mean tarrying in the spirit, calling on God. So we went up in this room called the upper room in my church. They locked the door. We praying. They praying in tongues. We in the upper room, God, we praying. And I figure after an hour, prayer time is over. I'm gonna go home. This was my first time being kidnapped. Girl, I had an all night prayer meeting
You had a
against
shut
my
in.
girl, a shut in before against my will. But the next day they said, oh, that mountain has moved. Go to the embassy. I went home, I showered, I got dressed, I went to the embassy, and Lord have mercy, it's the same man who denied me 7 times. And he said, what are you doing here? He's looking at my passport. He said, what are you doing here? Didn't I say no? Didn't I say no? Didn't I say no? I said yes. And he said, I think if I say no again, I'm going to see you tomorrow. Enjoy America. Boom. Girl, he gave me my visa. I went back to my village, told my family, told the folks in my village, and they raised 32 US dollars. So everybody in the village had like $1 a US. 32 US dollar, one suitcase, one pair of shoes, one way ticket. They put me on a plane, American airline plane. I'm the true coming to America story. They put me on a plane and dropped me in the heart of New York City, Cleveland, in the middle of winter. Never seen
Oh,
snow, didn't have no coat for no snow, anything like that. So that was my first bold move. That move pushed
that
me.
did it. That did it. How old were you?
I came here. I was in 18. I
You're
was 18
18.
years of age. Yeah, came. Oh
Right.
my gosh! And then I went to an all-white school in upstate New York, Binghamton. Have you heard of Binghamton, New
I
York?
have not, but it sounds cold.
Yeah, oh, cold. So out where Syracuse, New York
Oh,
is,
yes.
and so
Yes.
those are the things. So the bold moves, and then I think my most recent bold move is starting my church because I was pastoring a church called Jericho City of Praise here in Landover, Maryland.
Okay.
Pastored it for a year. They had some legal battles. They lost the case. The board who bought me was found to not be a legit board. So Bishop Jakes installing me there was not legit, anything like that. And so I started my own church. That was another bold move, to be a single woman starting your own church in Prince George's County. I call it the old school boys network, you know what I'm saying, like that. And so that was a bold move. And now we're 10 years old and we're still here.
Yeah. So that's funny that you mentioned that because I grew up in Bowie and I remember Jericho City of Praise and I do remember some of that stuff going down. But didn't wasn't connected to it, didn't know the details. But it's amazing. First of all, you've had some serious bold moves and I applaud them. They actually, but I want to know when did the ministry part of you kind of stand up? When did you step into ministry?
Yeah, you know what? It's so crazy. And I was like maybe 10 or 11. I always had this pull towards spirituality, a spiritual force, or anything like that. So in my village, if you know anything about villages on the islands, of voodoo is big and witchcraft. So, all of that was in my village. But a friend of mine, I was trying to date this guy, and the only way I can date him is I had to go to this church fellowship because he was a Christian called Youth Overcomers. So I said, okay, I'll go to Youth Overcomers, but after that we have to go out and stuff like that. Honey, I never got on the date because when I went to Youth Overcomers, the supernatural move of God just
Mm.
captured me, and I needed a supernatural move because in my village, honey, I was seeing chairs moving and nobody was moving it. I remember falling out of the tree. I was climbing a tree. I fell out of the tree. My mom goes to the back. She gets a chicken. She cut the neck off. She takes me to the voodoo doctor. I never been to the doctor. The arm was, so I've seen the occult. So if God was going to do anything, he had to do like twice as much, like the Elisha and up on Mount Carmel, right? Okay, we seen the Baal gods, so I needed a move
Wet
like
it
that.
up. Wet it
Right,
up.
right, yeah, I needed, okay, if your Baal God healed one hand, I needed Jehovah to heal both hands so I could see it. So that night, girl, a supernatural move of God just got me. I think I might have got saved on Friday. I started preaching on Saturday. I was in such fire. I mean, I could not sit down. The power of God just got a hold of me. And so in my village now, they're like, wait a minute, what happened to her? I'm preaching, I'm laying hands. I'm like a little 10, 11 year. I'm calling down, I'm reading everything the scripture said, and I'm calling it down. I mean, the gang lords in my village was like, what has gotten into Jasmin? And I was bold and fearless with as I was as being a sinner. That's what I tell people. So it started there. And if you follow me, the sermon I preached for Bishop Jakes, the first time giants do die, I had that sermon at the age of 14 in my village.
What?
In my village, I preached that sermon at the age of 14.
Mhm.
Little did I know that God was dropping that word and
Period.
boom. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. So that takes me to some of your, I guess, your nickname, the daughter of thunder.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell us, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's so many meaning, and somebody gave it to me because at that time when I first started preaching, you've seen me, I'm small in stature,
Mhm.
so I was about 90 to 100 pounds, but my voice is louder or bigger than my body. So that's when the nickname of thunder, cause I change atmosphere when I come in rooms. I disrupt stuff. I create thunder and lightning, the whole 9 yards. That's the first way it came about. But also years ago, I read this book called Daughters of Thunder. All these women who was in ministry, who were thundering the sound of God, but was undervalued, unappreciated. And I thought if I'm going to carry on their legacy, I'm going to become a daughter of thunder to carry on that mantle of those women. Even from the one we talk about at Jericho, the Apostle Betty People, she was a daughter of thunder. So I feel like I picked up her mantle and I'm just carrying it along.
I love it. I love it. So we're talking about picking up the mantles, and I want to just shift a little bit to talk about entrepreneurship, right? Even though when we talk about church, we think of church as being spiritual, but it's also a business, right? And we just got finished talking about, Women Thou Art Loosed and the machine that was. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs from a leadership perspective? Maybe just in general, but I also want you to speak to those women who are experiencing, I'm going to call it purpose fatigue.
Yeah, well, two things. Number one, I'm going to share what one of my mentors shared with me when I first started, and I agree. The church is an organization and it's an organism. So I'm
Mhm.
the pastor on Sunday, but I'm the president the rest of the week, the rest
Mhm.
of the days. And so one of the things my mentor said is if you're going to be in this business, number one, you have to have a clear vision.
Mhm.
All right, write the vision, make it clear. You have to have clarity. Number two, you have to have an all green team. An all green team. Listen, you need 5 to win in the NBA and 11 to win in the Super Bowl. And many business women, particularly, they remain sole proprietor. They never become, a partnership. So they're working hard because one, you can add with one, but you can't multiply with one. You can add, but you
Mhm.
can't multiply. So I say you need number one, a clear vision. Number two, an all green team. Jesus is climbing up the Mount of Transfiguration. Look, sis, he takes three with him, Peter, James, and John. And when
Mhm.
he's up there, two showed up, Moses and Elijah. There's his Fab Five. But
Mhm.
even on the earth, remember, he also gathered his what he called his 11. He doesn't even count Judas. He has his 11 disciples with him. So you need 5 to win in the NBA, and you need 11 to win in the Super Bowl in business. And then number 3, you need resources. And I believe that the number one resources that many of us, and I had to learn it the hard way, number one resource, it's not money, it's people.
Mm.
It's people. You know, if you connect with the right person, that right person can take it. That's what happened. Bishop Jakes, I connected with the
The
right
right
person
person at
who
the
gave
right
me the
time.
right opportunity
Yep.
at the right
Yep.
time. Now, when it comes to purpose fatigue, oh my gosh, I know what that is because you're grinding, you're grinding. And what we don't know when we become entrepreneurs or business owners is you're not going to really see a profit till your fifth year. So here's what I tell these
Mm-hmm.
young people. I say, your first year is orientation.
Mm-hmm.
Your second year is experimentation. Your third year is evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
Your fourth year is acceleration. And it's on your fifth year, all the investment you make, you're going to start getting back from it. So when you go in, if you're running hard your first year and you don't pace yourself, and you're not
Mm.
getting back the stuff that you invested by the second or third year, you want to throw in the towel, you want to quit. And so
Yeah.
I always say to them, slow is the new fast in this economy. Slow
Mm.
is the new fast,
Mm.
and small is the new big. Slow is the new fast,
I love
and
it.
small is the
It's
new
the new
big.
big. All right. I love that. I love that. And so how have you transitioned that? How have you seen that happen? Like give me one example of where you were able to switch those things and what you were able to then run slower, I guess, or run better.
Yeah, well, my church is 10 years of age, and I've been looking for a building, and everybody's like, oh, I see this building that has 10,000 seats. I see this building has 5,000 seats. Remember, small is the new big. I said, when you see a building that seats 120, holler at me. Because post COVID, more
Mhm.
people will watch you online than be in the building.
Absolutely.
So why am I trying to get a 15,000 seat sanctuary with such an overhead, sis?
Yeah.
With right
Smart
that I can't even pay myself. No, 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 no. Remember, it's a business.
business.
It's a business. So
Yes.
I started small with the
Mm-hmm.
business, but
Mm-hmm.
I also started slow. Now again, people ask me, "Where's your church?" I said, "I only gather once a month." And not even on a Sunday, a Saturday, once a month. They're like, once a month. I'm like, yeah. Because that's when the average person now comes to church once a month.
Mm.
Post COVID, you're not coming every Sunday. I know you say you do, but the record shows you don't. So why am I going to get a building and open it for 7 days and Negroes are only coming, I hope I can say this on your podcast, once a month?
No,
And,
it's facts.
and here's the last thing. Rent it before you own it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Rented be so my church is the third Saturday at First Baptist Church of Glenarden. If
Mm-hmm.
that roof leak, I don't have to pay for it. If
Mm-hmm.
the floor is damaged, I don't have to pay for it. If the pipes burst, girl, that ain't my problem. I'm renting it before I own it. The only time I'll tell you own it before you rent it is when you're getting married.
Married,
And I'm not too sure about that. I don't know. I don't know. I think I test with these crazy people now. I gotta test. I don't know, girl. I'm still working that theology out. I don't know, but
you
I
are
don't know about that.
hilarious.
I don't know about that.
No, I'm with you on that. So I'm going to share a couple of things. One is that I know very well First Baptist of Glenard. I used to go there way back in the day. I grew up in that area. My father's dental office was across the street from that location. And so the other side of the house, I was married to a pastor for 19 years. And
Mm,
so I have done the seeing the business of the church from a whole different lens.
right.
And I love the going slow. Slow is the new fast. Okay, small is the new big.
Yep.
Rent it before you own it. I I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so you're talking truth, and you're making it plain. And so something else I want you to make plain. One of the things that I do on this podcast is that it's for entrepreneurs who are looking to scale, looking to make $1 million. And so I want to know from you, like what was your, I'm going to call it your $1 million moment, and not so much the moment you made the $1 million. I'm thinking about the mindset. What helped you get into a zone where you were able to receive and achieve success from a business perspective?
Yeah, and I go back to, I think that's a great question. I go back to Bishop Jakes because he's one of my mentors. One of the things he said is poor people think in years, rich people think in decades.
Mm,
Poor people think in years. So poor people think in 26, 27. And, you cannot plan in the year that you're in. You can
mm,
execute, but you cannot plan. So
mm,
when you step into a new year, you should have already had your plan. Now, the good news I always tell people is that you just need 9 months in a year to get to the $1 million because nobody carries a baby for 12 months.
mm,
So your first 3 months of every year, January, February, by March, I call it marching orders.
mm,
So the first 2 months of every year, I take off to really determine what I want to achieve. And by March, I'm marching orders. I got now, I'm so locked in. So when people try to invite me for this year, I'm like, this year is over. I'm already in the year, girl. Wait, you invited me for when? And Lord knows if they say for this month. What month? May. I'm booked up all the way till December. So it's a mindset of thinking in decade. So here's one of the things I always ask myself the question because nobody is relevant all the time. When the phone stop ringing, and when I'm no longer the daughter of thunder, I'm the mother of thunder. How will I still generate a livelihood, income? You catch what I'm saying? So I build different things so I'm not locked in. So the only way I make an income is if I have the mic or I'm on a stage or I'm on a platform. You asked me when we came in, what's Deborah's Army? Deborah's Army is 1,000 women in my Deborah's Army mentorship program. So I have different levels, okay, different platoons. And you want to scale up, you go up. The higher you go, the more it costs. All of that is residual income outside of me preaching. And you talk about my S.H.I.N.E CDC. Lynn Richardson, a mentor of mine, said having one stream of income is hazardous to your health.
yeah.
It's very, especially in this climate. So I try to, my mindset, I think the millionaire starts in the mind more than it starts with the things that you do. The last thing I say, if anybody Google me, I didn't know that I had $1 million in me because I came from a poor country. Go to the story if you follow me. I preached for Bishop Jakes and he told me to raise the offering at the church. And I said, okay. He said, just ask everybody for maybe $100. I'm like, okay. I walk out there. He gives me the mic. And I said, I need one person to give $1 million. I looked in my corner of my eyes. Bishop is like, what did she
What'd you
say?
say?
Girl, you can hear complete silence in that place. I was shocked because I can't even tell if I knew what $1 million was. I said, I need one person to give $1 million in the offering. And here comes Tyler Perry. You can go ahead and Google it on YouTube. He walks up and he says, Google it so you can see I'm not lying. Go on YouTube, you'll see it. He walks up and he says, he's been carrying this $1 million check. The Lord said somebody was going to ask paid. On Friday, nobody asked paid. Saturday, nobody asked paid. And this girl, he said, this girl from this little girl, he's holding my hands. And I had told my church before I went there, I said, one day I'm going to preach for T.D. Jakes. I'm going to meet Tyler Perry. I'm going to give him my book, Dance with Broken Bones. He's going to turn it into a movie. I went through all of this stuff in my head. Now I'm standing on the stage. Google it. Bishop Jakes sent me the pictures, one of the
I
pictures
will.
in
I
my house.
will.
You will Google it and you will see. And I realized if you don't have the courage to ask for it, and a lot of women, particularly women, They don't have the courage to ask for it, to think for it, for dream for it. Honey, I thought $1,000, I'm in La Vida Loca. I mean, I came here with $32 in my pocket. I started from the bottom. When I got $1,000, I took the check to the bank. They said, how you want it? I say, one in ones. Girl, I went home, I laid on my bed. I'm jumping, I'm rolling in $1,000. I'm thinking, I have arrived. But I didn't even know there was $1,000,000 in me to even ask for
Wow.
it. So I had to get rid of what I say a lot of entrepreneurs, a limited belief,
Yeah. That's good.
limited mindset.
That's good. That's good, Dr. Jazz. You came through with that one. I love it. And that just shows the power of what we don't even know we have the power. And you're
Yeah.
you're unlocking it, you're untapping it. So as we get ready to close, I want to ask you, well, one, I want you to shout out your ministries and how people can get a hold of you. But I also want you to tell me what is next for you. What is God working that you're at a place where you can share it with us?
Yeah, and first of all, you can reach me on all my social media. I am Dr. Jazz. No period, no space. I am Dr. Jazz. And so on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, IG, the whole 9 yards. If you are in the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, I gather once a month, the third Saturday at 5 p.m. at First Baptist Church of Glenard. Now, this is my next, right, sis, because this is on a Saturday. Now, most people, I used to be 7 days Adventist, but I feel there's a wind of change that a lot of people struggle in trying to get to a place of worship on Sunday. And so I fill in the gap. I'm not, I'm not the person that you're gonna say, oh my, like Glenn Arnold and the other two. Oh, there's victory. We like the wind, John 3:8. The wind blows where nobody knows. So I feel like I'm just always wind, just moving and going around. I'm not a monument. I'm a movement. I tell people I'm not a monument. So I'm not gonna build something here and get locked in. This month I preached 7 times in 7 different locations in Maryland. Just going around. So the next for me in terms of ministry as a pastor is we're planning on staying on Saturdays. And check this out. We're going to do every Saturday, but in 4 different locations once a month. So if you're in Clinton, you can catch me. So here's my slogan. Why wait for victory on Sunday when you can have it on Saturday? So we're going to be like the DoorDash church. We're going to dash deliverance to you. You don't come to us, we'll come to you. So if you're in Clinton, we're there. If you're in Temple Hills, we're there. Just once a month. I'm just going around once a month. But my anchor is at First Baptist Church of Glenard. Now, at First Baptist Church of Glenard on the third Saturday, I do what I call super bold women conversation. So it's not like preaching and teaching, because I think sometimes the church does a disservice. We shout, we scream, we get a good sermon, but we really don't talk about bold issues. Like for instances, in the last 4 months of this year, more black women have been killed by a lover, a husband. When are we going to be talking about that? Not only that, they're saying by 2030, African American women are going to be the highest unemployed. Sis, unemployed. And if we are the breadwinners, guess what? How that's going to affect homes and stuff. So I'm using the third Saturday to have super bold conversation that the church don't like to talk about. And I'm looking forward to having you as one of my guests real soon.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for the invitation. And thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes to being on Boss Business Strategies. We have heard all about the leadership. We've heard about transformation. We've heard about those bold moves. And Dr. Jasmin Sculark has shown us what it means to lead boldly, to serve faithfully, and to empower others through wisdom, compassion, and courage, and taking a step out and doing something that nobody else has done or has even thought about. And so I want to thank you, Dr. Jazz, for being here. And I look forward to the next time that we meet. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We're right back. And so I'm Dr. Marcea, and I am your host of Boss Business Strategies. You can follow me at drmarcea.com, also on all streaming platforms, as well as social media at drmarcea.com. And I help female entrepreneurs who are in this business building space to harness the power of their story, to build an authentic platform, and then to create a pathway to business success. You can check us out every Friday live here on YouTube, but also streaming on Spotify, on iTunes, as well as on the On Stage Plus TV network. Take care. Bye-bye.